Hello, dear students. Good afternoon, everybody. You are all safe and sound at home. I am also safe and sound for the mercy of Almighty Allah. This is Mr. Nasiruddin Akand. I am the English teacher of Rajabari School and College. I would like to invite you to watch my online class. Today, I invite you to watch my online class. I will teach you English sandpaper. Today's lesson is tag question. Dear learners, you can see on the board tag question. Today, if you watch my class attentively, you can understand about tag question and can solve properly. You can see the definition of tag question. To add a short question in the end of the sentences is called tag question. Features of tag question. Number one, identify the subject. You have to identify the subject firstly. Then, number two, identify the auxiliary verbs. Then you have to identify the auxiliary verbs. Number three, affirmative statement will be negative tag. That means if you see affirmative sentence, then the tag question will be negative. Number four, negative statement will be affirmative tag. That means if you see negative sentences, then the tag question will be affirmative. And number five, question mark will be used in the end. That means you have to use the question mark in the end of the sentences. This is how you have to make tag question. But you must remember that if you want to make tag question, then you have to know firstly auxiliary verb. I want to teach you firstly auxiliary verb. You can't solve the tag question without auxiliary verb. This is why you should learn about auxiliary verb properly. Here, the auxiliary verb used as operator. Some auxiliary verbs which are affirmative form you can see affirmative, auxiliary and negative auxiliary. For example, am will be amount or around. Age will be isn't. Are will be around. Was will be wasn't. Where will be around. Shall will be shan't or shan't. Will be won't. Should will be shouldn't. Would will be wouldn't. Can will be can't. Could will be couldn't. And others, auxiliary verbs. Must will be mustn't. May will be mayn't. Need will be needn't. Dear will be daren't. If you see verb 1, then you will use do. Will be don't. If you see verb 1 plus s or yes, then will be does, negative doesn't. If you see verb 2, then it will be did and negative will be didn't. You can see some auxiliary verbs. You must remember, you have to learn properly these auxiliary verbs. As because you can solve the tag question without auxiliary verb. Now, I want to give some examples here. I'm a teacher. Teacher. You can use amount or around or ain't. I. Here you can see am as auxiliary verb, and it is also an affirmative statement. This is why the tag question will be negative. For this, I have made it amount, around, and I. Next, he is writing a story. Here subject is he, and auxiliary verb is, so I will use isn't here, isn't she. You must remember the subject always will be pronoun, such as Kamal is a player. Here, Kamal is a name of male person. This is why you have to use here pronoun he, and auxiliary verb will be isn't. Isn't she? As Kamal is male person. Instead of every male person will be he. And if you see female person, for example, Rina is a nurse. Here, subject will be she, as Rina is female person, and auxiliary verb will be isn't. Isn't she? This is how you must remember. You will use pronoun he instead of male person, and you will use she instead of female person. And then if you see he took medicine, here pronoun or subject will be he, and here you can see verb to. This is why here you will auxiliary verb did. Here will be didn't. Didn't he? This is how number 6. She opens the door. Here she will be subject, as it is pronoun she, and you can see opens here verb 1 and plus s. This is why you will use here as auxiliary verb does. That means doesn't she. Here she opens the door, affirmative statement or sentence. This is why you will use doesn't here. Doesn't she. Dear students, you can see identifying the subjects. Here I have written some instructions. If you see male person, singular number, then you will use he as subject. For example, Rafiq, Shafiq, Rana, Masood. Instead of this, you will use he. And you have seen female singular, it will be she. If you see singular number of female person, for example, Rina, Bina, Sonia, Sneha, etc., you will use she. And when you can see male or female person in plural number, then you will use they. For example, girls, you will use they. Boys, you will use they. And then you can see, I can write here some plus person. If you see a person after some, then you will use they as subject. For example, somebody, you will use they. Some boys, you will use they. Some students, you will use they. And then this is how any plus person, any boy, any girl, any student, any farmer, etc., you can use they as subject. And if you see every plus person, that means everyone, everybody, every student, every girl, then you will use they as subject. And if you see no plus person, that means no student, no boy, no girl, no farmer, etc., then you will use they as subject. The students, I mind that you have understood the identifying the subjects. If you identify the subject and auxiliary verb of sentence, then you will be able to solve tag question properly or correctly. Now, I'm writing another identifying subject. If we write here some plus imperson. Impersons means they are not person, they are things. For example, some things. Imperson means things. Some things, any things, everything, nothing. It will be it as subject. Imperson. Imperson will be it, any person, any things, any book. For example, any book, any things will be it here. Everything. That means every plus imperson. Everything will be it. No plus imperson will be it as subject, as because if I write nothing will be it. This is how, if we see the subjects, this is how we have to identify the subject. Now I give some examples. Everyone is loud. Here you can see everyone, one after every. One means person or male or female. This is why here will be subject they. They. But here you can see is as auxiliary verb. Everyone is singular subject. This is why here used is as singular auxiliary verb. But here the subject already become they and it is plural number. For this the auxiliary verb will be plural. Around. Okay? This is how every student should read. Here, every student, here student is person. After every, if you see any person, then the subject will be they. Here, auxiliary verb, you can see should. So you will use shouldn't. Shouldn't they? This is how, if you see any body may come. Here you can see any body. That means body is person. After any, you can see body. It's person. Here singular, but the subject will be plural. They. And here you can see auxiliary verb may, so you will use mayn't. Mayn't them. This is how no body phoned me. Here, no body. That means body is person and before body you can see no. This is why you must remember it will be negative sentence and here will be affirmative tag. This is why you will use subject nobody they, but auxiliary verb as verb 2 you will use only did, as because this sentence is negative sentence. This is negative sentence. This is why you will use here affirmative tag. And number 5, anything is visible. Anything is visible. Here you can see things after any. It is imperson. And here subject will be it. And here you can see auxiliary verb is, so you will use here isn't it. Okay? And I am giving another example. Nothing. Nothing was certain. Here you can see things after no. It indicates imperson. This is why nothing subject will be it. And nothing was certain, it is a negative sentence. This is why here auxiliary verb will be or track will be affirmative. So you have to use only was here. Okay, dear students, you have seen today the most important rules of making tag question. If you watch my class attentively, I mean that you can understand properly and you can appear at the examination properly and make correct tag question. Okay, thank you all. I pray to Allah for your best. Thank you.